Hey YouTube, Bronze Age Nerd here with another video. This time I'm going to be looking at a 15 comic book quick press submission I did to CGC. I'm going to go over all of the issues that I submitted. I have some photos for each one. I'll show you what the condition of the comics were as I sent them off and what I would expect the grade to come back as, my prediction, my guess basically. And also keep in mind that every book in this submission will be quick cleaned and pressed. What that means is CGC offers that service. You have the ability to have them clean the comic, which apparently is the same process even if you just went and submitted their comic for a full press. And then they do one pressing. The difference there is that if you do their normal press, they will press the comic as many times as needed to remove defects. This is just basically one pass. So if the term quick press is a little confusing, that's basically what they mean. You do send it technically to a different service from CGC, but they're under the same banner, and I mean they're even in the same building. But it does mean that your submissions will take longer. There's more of a backlog for the service that does the pressing. Other than that, I don't know when these comics will come back. All of them arrived at CGC on October 1st. So we'll see what grade predictions I want to give these. You can follow along, and then when I get them back, I'll do an unboxing and show you what grades I actually got. Okay, let's dive in. First up, let's look at the first appearance of Rogue from the X-Men. This is Avengers Annual number 10. As you will see, the corners of this comic book are in decent shape. There is minor chipping that's more evident from the back. We are going to be looking at a number of spine ticks. Count them with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'd say. A decent amount. They are lightly color breaking. I'd say this book still presents better than its final grade will probably be. It's mostly a pretty clean copy. There's that chipping on the corners that I talked about before. The back cover still is pretty white. These white older covers from the 80s generally do tend to look a little faded if they weren't taken care of very well. You'll see some of the pages look a little misaligned there. It does have white pages, which is really nice. I'd say we're probably going to get an 8.5 out of this book. This is Batman vs. Predator number 1, an interesting comic because of some of the publication history behind it. That top left corner there on the spine I think is going to be the biggest thing that's going to prevent this from being a 9.8. Otherwise, it's a pretty good looking copy. I think the spine's in pretty good shape. These are really close-up photos, so sometimes these look a little bit worse than they do in person, especially under lights. And I think the back cover's in good shape. You can see one thumb press there, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have this one pressed and cleaned. A little bit of a fingerprint there that I think will come off. Other than that, I think it looks like it's in pretty good shape. I do think that top left corner, when you're looking at it from the front, that's probably going to be the biggest problem. It's a little blunted. Therefore, I'm going to give this one a 9.6. So here we have one of my absolute favorite comic books, G.I. Joe number 21 from the original American Hero series by Larry Hama. This is the infamous silent issue. It's also the first appearance of Storm Shadow, which often gets overlooked. This book is in rough shape. Luckily, it's still a pretty valuable book, which is why I'm willing to send it in, but you'll see the spines in very rough shape. Several significant color-breaking spine ticks, even to slight tears. It's got a pretty good dent at the top. I'll be interested to see if that might press out a little bit. The back's in decent shape, a little dirty. I'm hoping that they can clean up a little bit of that. And I really think that this book will benefit from the clean and press. There's a bit of a cover roll on it too. You might not have noticed on the first picture that I think, hopefully will come out. I'm thinking this might get a 6.5. Yes, I am submitting two copies of this comic. This one's in a little bit better shape, actually, a lot better shape. As you'll see, there's a lot of denting on the cover, and there's a little bit on the back as well. Luckily, that will mostly press out, or should press out, as long as CGC does a good job pressing. This is one of those things where it's a little scary because they only do one press, and some of these could require multiple pressings to really benefit from being pressed. However, I think this one is in significantly better shape. Like, even that pitting right there will probably come out in a press. That pitting, creasing, indentation, whatever you want to call it, should come out. This one's a lot cleaner looking in general, except for near the spine, so hopefully the clean takes care of that. I would really imagine that it would. Luckily, white's a pretty easy area to clean. And here you got some more indentation and some gunk that will hopefully come out in cleaning and pressing. This is also probably white pages. We do have some indentation that went through all the pages, so hopefully they take care of that as well. But guys, I'm hoping this is coming back as an 8.0. Next up, let's take a look at You're the Villain, Hell Arisen 3. This is the first full appearance of Punchline. This one, there's an interesting thing going on with the spine of these books. And spoiler alert, I have 3 copies here we'll be looking at, 2 of the A cover and 1 of the B cover. And all of them have this sort of chipping along the spine, so I don't know if that's a known print defect with this book or this type of paper that they print the cover on. Other than that, I think these copies look pretty good. And again, these are very close-up photos. A lot of this stuff is not visible just looking at it in good light, as well as it is in these photos. But I do like to take the close-ups and show you what I see going on here. I think this book has a chance at a 9.8, especially after getting pressed, but I don't know if some of those defects are really going to add up. So I'm going to take a layup and give this book a projected grade of a 9.6. Take our look at our second copy of Hell Arisen 3 here. So this one I think looks like it's maybe even in slightly better shape than the last copy. There's kind of a thumbprint look, thumbprint imprint on the spine of that first one that I don't see on this one. And the chipping along the corner looks better. I do see on the spine side, top and bottom of the corners, a little chip. So I'm going to go with, I think this one's going to receive the same grade as the last one. I think they're both going to probably come back as a 9.6. They both come back as a 9.4. Maybe one comes back as a 9.4, one comes back as a 9.6. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I'm hoping for a 9.8 for both of these, but I don't know if those are bad enough to defects to knock it down. So I'll be really surprised to see how these turn out. Here we have something that looks a little bit different at first, but no, it's really just another Hell Arisen number 3. This is the B cover. This one, there's some scuff that was visible in that last picture, and there's a couple, they're not, I don't know if they're just fully spine ticks or just little bends in the paper on the back cover we'll see on this one. This one I think might be around the same grade as that first one we looked at, but it could be a little bit worse. So what I'll do is I'll probably consider this one to be, I think a 9.4 is a fair grade for this to be in. I don't know how much, pressing's really going to help. Cleaning, maybe that scuff on the front might come off. I don't have much faith though, so we'll go with 9.4 as my grade on this one. Next, we're going to take a look at John Wick number 1. This is notable for being the first appearance of John Wick in a comic book, and this is the Sienkiewicz cover that I like a lot better than the photo cover. This is one of those comic books that's a rare treat. I ordered it. It's a pretty cold book, but I thought, hey, there's new movies coming out. Maybe it'll do pretty well. I hope I get a good copy. I think this copy is pretty much flawless. The only thing that we'll see as we start to get onto the back cover here is there's some scuffing, and I don't know if it's enough to get knocked down a grade. And I don't know how much of it, if any of it, comes out during a cleaning. So With the scuffing being the only flaw I can think of on this thing, realistically from other 9.8s I've seen, I think that I'm going to predict that this book's going to get a 9.6, and hopefully we're surprised pleasantly. This is an interesting book. This is Psylocke #1. This is from her mini series, notable for having a Hope Summers preview in it, and also some David Finch art, popular cover for a popular character. It's this is one of those ones where if I knew then, back when I submitted these, which again, these arrived at CGC on October 1st. It's a couple months later. This is currently December 7th. I know a lot more about grading now than I did then, and I don't think I would grade this thing as highly as I did then, so I may not have even sent it in. There's some stuff that'll press out, like an indentation here and there, but really there's some ticks on this spine that are visible from the back that aren't as visible from the front, because of that black back cover there, that I think will end up mattering more than I thought at the time. This comic book's worth quite a bit in a higher grade, but I think we'll be lucky if I get a 9.0 on this, to be honest. Up, we're looking at Ruins of Ravencroft Carnage #1. This is the first appearance of Cortland Cassidy, who's an ancestor of Cletus Cassidy, who is Carnage, or the usual host of the Carnage symbiote, at least. This is one that was really hot at the time that I submitted these books. It was just picking up steam that week. It's died off quite a bit. Nothing's really happened with this character. There is still plenty good chance that something will happen with this character in the future, almost assuredly. Whether or not it'll be connected to Null and the kind of current craze remains to be seen. But I had just gotten this book in. It was hitting top lists of that week, and it looked like a very clean copy. There is some minor chipping there you can see on the bottom of the corner, on the back. I think this book has this decent shot at like a 9.6 or a 9.4. And hopefully it does better. Oddly enough, the A cover of this is now worth twice as much, and I have that cover as well and did not submit it. So we'll see if this thing lasts. Alright, we have Savage She-Hulk #1. This is the first appearance of She-Hulk, and she's coming to the MCU. She's going to have her own Disney Plus series, so this is one that I'm definitely looking forward to getting a good grade back on. I actually picked this up before she even had casting rumors confirmed. In fact, I sent it off maybe a month before there was any casting buzz that she was going to be cast pretty soon. So kind of a bit of an earlier spec for me. There is some, like, a crease on the cover. There's a corner crunch you can see right here. Hopefully pressing will help that. There's some weird gunk or color loss along the spine here on the back. I don't think this is going to be a 9. Let's just be honest. So I think either 8 or 8.5 feels pretty comfortable for this. And I think I'm more comfortable guessing that this would be an 8.5. Hoping that the clean and press process really helps this one out. And let's say 8.5 for She-Hulk. This book is obviously extremely hot right now. And again, I sent this back in a while ago, so it's not based on the current hype. Funny story about this, I actually had this in my personal collection that I'd had for my entire childhood and life, basically. But sold it and ended up buying another copy. But I didn't pay as much as it's going for now or anything like that. So as we look at this issue, I think it's in really great shape. The weird thing is there's some lightning kind of stuff that happens on this weird purple swirly cover. Some little white lines that appear. And towards the bottom here, one of those is actually a crease, spine tick, whatever you want to call it. I'm hoping they don't see it. I'm sure they will. If it wasn't for that, I think this has a shot at being a 9.8 though, so I'm going to go ahead and predict this probably ends up as a 9.6, but hey, I can hope, right? But yeah, 9.6 is my prediction. And here we have Venom 3. This is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version of this comic, and I picked it up, obviously after it released on the secondhand market. So this isn't something I bought when it came out. I didn't have access to any of the Comic-Con comics. And I will say this comic's in really great shape, with one exception. The bottom spine side corner right here, the art makes it look like there's a big crunch there, but that's just the art. There is a little bit of a chipping going on there. But this thing's in really great shape, especially for being that all-white cover. I don't know how harshly they'll grade on the corners on this. I really do hope this comes back as a 9.8, but I think it's so much more likely this was come back as a 9.6. So I'll make my final prediction 9.6 for this one. And of course we have another Venom comic here, Venom number 7. This is the first appearance of Dylan Brock, Eddie Brock's son, the variant edition of it. And this comic looks like it's in fantastic shape to me. I can't stress enough that these close-ups and the light I had these under definitely reveal a lot more than I think most people would see at a normal light level in a normal room. One corner, the spine side bottom corner of this comic book, looks a little beat up, especially in close-ups. We'll see that here in the next picture. I don't know if that's enough to get it marked down. This one, I've been playing it pretty safe on most of these. This one, I really expect it to come back in 9.8. Yeah, we'll call it a 9.8. Might not happen, though. I could easily see it being a 9.6, but let's go for it on one of them. Yet another really hot book right now that wasn't quite as hot back when I submitted these, so I guess I did a pretty good job. This is the first appearance. This is Young Avengers 1. It's the first appearance of Kate Bishop, who we just had confirmed to be in the new Hawkeye series on Disney+. She later becomes the second Hawkeye. First appearance of Patriot, who's the main character you see on the cover there. First appearance of Iron Lad, who's actually Kang. First appearance of Hulkling, and the first appearance of the Asgardian, who's the son of the Scarlet Witch, who becomes Wiccan, who's a pretty pivotal character in the current Marvel universe, too. I really think this comic book is definitely not a 9.8. We've seen that from just seeing the front. I hope it gets impressed. Like there's the top left corner. I hope that gets improved by a press. Other than that, unfortunately, there are a couple spine ticks. What I'm waffling on is I'm not sure if I want to call this a 9.4 or a 9.6. My instinct says bump the grade down, so I'm going to say that I think this is a 9.4 we're looking at. So there you have it, my predictions for my 15 comic book quick press submission to CGC. We'll see what these come back as. Honestly, most of these I wish were in a higher grade. It's something that some time has passed, and I have kind of learned a little bit more about grading and CGC comics, what graded comics go for, what grades are desirable. There's a huge emphasis on 9.8s in the modern era. I break from that logic a little bit. I think there's plenty of comic books that are available in lower grades that still get a good price. Many comics on this list are ones that I would consider selling. Very few are ones that I want to keep in my personal collection. So obviously the higher the grade I get, the happier I'm going to be. I am extremely curious to see what this batch of comic books comes back as when I get the shipment in. As I mentioned, I sent this shipment off in September, and it arrived at CGC on October 1st. Nothing in this submission has seen any activity other than received in CGC's submission tracker. So I have no idea when I'll get these back. At this point, they are possibly being cleaned and pressed right now. I'm not sure if I get a status update for that or not, but they're not even scheduled for grading yet. So we'll see when we get these back. It'll probably be a little while. Maybe it'll be a nice Christmas present. I could do with a little unboxing video. That'd be nice. We'll see what they come back as, and hope for good grades from me, everyone. Thank you so much, and as always, hey, 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 read comics every day.